I discovered my wife's secret email to her divorce lawyer. He has no idea I've been transferring $500 each week from his inheritance into my hidden account. After 6 years, I've accumulated $156,000, enough to start a new life without that pathetic loser. She even attached photos of our bank statement. I smiled and said nothing, continued bringing her morning coffee. Today, my phone nearly exploded from her 79 missed calls. Something wasn't right with my wife's laptop. That's how this whole nightmare started. Not with screaming or fighting or lipstick on the collar, just a stupid Windows update that crashed her MacBook's boot camp partition. Eva asked me to fix it while she went for a run, leaving me alone in our home office at 8:23 a.m. on what was supposed to be a normal Saturday. I'm not the type to snoop. 8 years of marriage and I've always respected her privacy. But when her Outlook pinged with a new email while I was running diagnostics, the subject line caught my eye. Final divorce strategy, account documentation attached. My stomach dropped. Not even a slow descent, more like an elevator cable snapping. I know I should have closed it, should have pretended I never saw it. But my mouse hovered over the notification, and before I could think straight, I'd clicked it. The email was from someone named Patricia Weiss, ESQ. The timestamp showed 8:22 a.m., literally 1 minute before Eva handed me her laptop and conveniently went for a run. The message was short. Eva, I've received the account statements you forwarded. The accumulation of $156,000 over 6 years without your husband's knowledge establishes a strong starting position. I've reviewed the weekly transfer records and everything appears properly documented. We'll discuss further at our Monday appointment. Below was the original email from my wife, the one that's burned into my brain now. Patricia. As discussed, I've been transferring $500 each week from the joint account, funded by his inheritance, into my hidden savings at First Republic. He has no idea. After 6 years, I've accumulated $156,000, enough to start a new life without that pathetic loser. I've attached statements showing the systematic transfers and current balance. I plan to leave May 15th while he's at his friend Gunner's for their stupid monthly poker night. I'll take only what's mine plus this account. You said this approach keeps everything clean and legal since we've commingled assets, right? Attached were PDFs of bank statements. Our bank statement. And statements from an account I'd never seen before. My grandfather died 6 years ago, left me $650,000, everything he had. Eva and I had been married for 2 years then. I loved her, trusted her. When she suggested putting it in a joint account, because we're partners in everything, I agreed without hesitation. She's been siphoning it off since the fucking day we deposited it. $500 every week. Like clockwork. Small enough that I wouldn't notice among our regular expenses. Always on Tuesdays when I'm in back-to-back meetings all day. The perfect crime happening right under my nose for 6 years. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling like someone had hollowed out my chest with a rusty spoon. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely scroll through the statement PDFs. May 15th. That's in 3 weeks. She's been planning this for God knows how long. And I've been bringing her coffee in bed every morning like a complete fool. I'm not a confrontational guy. Never have been. But something inside me just shifted. The shock gave way to a kind of cold, calculating anger I've never felt before. I took screenshots of everything, emailed them to myself. Then I carefully closed the email, marked it as unread, and continued fixing her laptop like nothing had happened. When Eva came back all sweaty and cheerful from her run, I smiled and told her I'd fixed the issue. She thanked me with a kiss on the cheek and asked if I wanted breakfast. The same lips that called me a pathetic loser in that email were now offering to make me avocado toast. Sure, I said, somehow keeping my voice steady. That sounds great. The next 48 hours were the hardest of my life. I've been moving through our house like a ghost, pretending everything is normal while my mind races through what she's done. $500, X, 52 weeks, X, 6 years, equal sign, $156,000 stolen. Planning to leave in 3 weeks, consulting with a divorce lawyer for who knows how long. Calling me a pathetic loser to said lawyer. Using my inheritance that my grandfather worked his whole life for, I brought her coffee Sunday morning like I always do. Watched Netflix with her Sunday night. Went to work Monday like everything was fine. All while feeling like I was going to vomit or scream, or both. At 11:42 p.m. last night, when I was sure she was asleep, I called Gunner. He's been my best friend since college, and the only person I trust right now. I went out to the garage so Eva wouldn't hear me. Dude, she's been stealing from you for 6 years? Gunner was as shocked as I was. That's some next-level betrayal. What are you gonna do? I don't know yet, I told him. But I'm not confronting her until I have a plan. Gunner agreed. Document everything. Talk to a lawyer before she knows you know. And whatever you do, don't let her realize you've seen that email. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the garage for almost an hour. just staring at the wall. The engine of my life had thrown a rod, and I was still trying to process the damage. This morning, I did something I've never done before. I went through Eva's purse while she was in the shower, found a First Republic bank card I've never seen before, took photos of both sides. Then I checked her phone. She's always used my fingerprint to unlock it, in case of emergencies, so she never changed that even as she was planning to leave me. Found the banking app, took screenshots of everything before carefully putting it all back exactly as I found it. The balance matched exactly what the email said. $156,000 and change. My money. The money my grandfather left me when he died. The man who raised me after my parents' accident. Who worked 60-hour weeks at the factory until he was 72. Who never bought himself anything nice so he could leave something. And she's been stealing it. Week by week, for 6 years. I'm writing this from my office at work. Haven't been able to focus on anything today. Keep checking my phone to make sure the screenshots are still there. Like they might magically disappear. The plan is forming in my head. I'm not going to confront her. Not yet. She thinks she has 3 more weeks before she springs this on me, which means I have 3 weeks to prepare my response. Gunnar texted me the name of his divorce attorney. I have an appointment tomorrow at lunch. Eva texted me around 2 p.m. asking if I wanted chicken or fish for dinner, like she's not planning to burn our life to the ground. I texted back, chicken sounds great because what else could I say? I've been running the numbers. If she's taken $156,000 over 6 years, that leaves a little over $490,000 of my inheritance that she hasn't managed to steal yet, plus whatever we've managed to save together. I need to protect what's left before she cleans out everything. Edit. A lot of you are asking why I didn't confront her immediately. 2 reasons. Pure shock. I literally couldn't process what I was seeing. She's clearly been planning this for years. I'm not walking into that confrontation unprepared. I just got home. Eva's cooking dinner like nothing's wrong. The smell of garlic and herbs fills the kitchen as she hums along to some Spotify playlist. 6 years of lies and theft and she's humming. I'm sitting at the kitchen island now, typing this on my phone while she moves around the kitchen. Every few minutes, she glances at me with this little furrow between her eyebrows. I realize I've been quieter than normal, too deep in my own thoughts. Is everything okay, babe? She just asked, head tilted to one side. You seem different. I smiled and told her I was just tired from work. But I can tell she's suspicious. The same woman who's been stealing from me for 6 years can somehow still tell when something's off with my mood. I don't know how I'm going to make it through the next 3 weeks without completely losing it, but I'm going to try. Because when I do finally respond to what she's done, I want it to be perfect. The chicken sizzles in the pan. Eva hums. And I sit here, planning. Update. First of all, holy crap. I didn't expect my post to blow up like that. Thanks for all the support and advice. Sorry I couldn't reply to everyone, but I've been a little busy planning the dismantling of my soon-to-be ex-wife's entire scheme. Quick recap for anyone just joining. 2 weeks ago, I discovered my wife Ava has been stealing $500 weekly from my inheritance for 6 years, accumulating $156,000 in a secret account. She's planning to leave me on May 15th during my monthly poker night with Gunnar, and called me a pathetic loser in emails to her divorce lawyer. I've been living in a weird twilight zone since then, making small talk over dinner while secretly documenting everything, watching Netflix beside her while my brain catalogs 6 years of unexplained absences and suspicious behavior. It's like living with a stranger wearing my wife's face. The day after my discovery, I met Gunnar for lunch at this dive bar downtown where we knew Eva would never show up. Place has sticky floors and smells like old beer, but the burgers are amazing, and more importantly, it's safe to talk there. I showed him all the screenshots. His face went through this whole journey from disbelief to anger to this cold calculation I've never seen on him. Bro, I always thought Ava was a bit extra, but this is some next-level snake shit, he said through a mouthful of fries. You need to go full scorched earth. We spent 2 hours mapping out what Gunnar kept calling Operation Phoenix, because apparently I'm going to rise from the ashes of this marriage or something. He's been watching too many Marvel movies. Step 1. Protect the remaining inheritance money, about $490K. Step 2. Gather more evidence. Step 3. Find my own place. Step 4. Line up a good lawyer. Step 5. Execute the plan before her May 15th deadline. Simple on paper. Way harder in practice when you're trying not to tip off the person sleeping next to you every night. At 2:17 a.m. that night, after Eva fell asleep, I did something I'm not proud of. I used her fingerprint to unlock her phone while she was passed out. The guilt lasted about 4 seconds before I remembered she's been stealing from me for 6 years. What I found made the email look tame. There were hundreds of texts with her friend Lila discussing her exit strategy. Apparently, they've been planning this for over a year. Eva referred to our marriage as her prison sentence and me as her ball and chain. Nice, right? But that wasn't even the worst part. I found emails. So many emails. Eva hasn't just been hiding money. She's been hiding an entire life. Weekend work conferences that were actually girls' trips to Miami. Late nights at the office spent at hotels with some dude named Clifford. Seriously? Clifford? Credit card statements showing restaurant charges in towns she supposedly never visited. My entire marriage has been a carefully constructed lie. I barely slept that night. At 6:45 a.m., I dragged myself out of bed and made Ava coffee like nothing was wrong. Watched her sip it while scrolling through Instagram, occasionally showing me random reels like we were still a normal couple. When she left for her spin class, I called the bank. Turns out, you can't just remove someone from a joint account without their signature. The lady on the phone sounded genuinely sympathetic, but rules are rules. I'd need Eva's consent to separate our finances. Plan B it is. I opened a new account at a completely different bank. Then, I calculated exactly how much of my remaining inheritance was still in our joint account. $487,250. That afternoon, while Eva was getting her nails done, or so she claimed, I transferred $480,000 to my new account. Left just enough in the joint account that she wouldn't immediately notice anything off about the balance when she checked it. It felt like diffusing a bomb underwater while wearing oven mitt. Every notification ding from my phone made me flinch, expecting Eva to call screaming about the transfer. But nothing happened. Step 1. Complete. The next few days became a bizarre dance of normalcy and secret planning. On Tuesday, I met with a divorce attorney. Not the one Gunnar recommended, but a woman named Kathy that I found through a Reddit comment. Ironically enough, she's this no-nonsense lady in her 50s who called Eva's actions textbook financial infidelity and asked if I wanted to go for the jugular or just get out clean. I chose jugular. Sue me. By Friday, I'd found an apartment. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom in a decent part of town with a month-to-month lease. Paid the security deposit in cash. Each night after Eva fell asleep, I'd sneak small batches of important documents and irreplaceable items out to my car, then to a storage unit I rented. My grandfather's watch, old photo albums, the external hard drive with all my data. 2 close calls so far. 1. Eva came home early from brunch last weekend and caught me putting a box in my trunk. Told her it was just some old stuff for Goodwill. She seemed satisfied, but gave me this weird look before going inside. 2. My new bank sent a welcome email that popped up while my phone was sitting on the coffee table. Eva was literally 3 feet away. I've never lunged for anything faster in my life, played it off like it was a spam notification. Pretty sure I pulled a muscle. The real breakthrough came from the most unexpected source, Eva's mom, Margaret. Margaret stopped by unannounced last Sunday to drop off some planter boxes she'd found on sale. Ava was in the shower, so Margaret and I made awkward small talk in the kitchen while I pretended her daughter wasn't planning to rob me blind and disappear. So nice that Eva found that cute condo, Margaret said, rearranging the magnets on our fridge like she always does. The virtual tour she showed me looked lovely. Those floor-to-ceiling windows. Worth every penny of that deposit, I'm sure. My brain short-circuited. Condo? Deposit? I managed to keep my face neutral while making appropriate noises of agreement. Margaret kept chatting, completely oblivious to the bomb she'd just dropped, until Eva came downstairs in her bathrobe and shooed her mom into the living room. That night, I checked Eva's emails again. Sure enough, buried in a folder labeled Tax Docs 2020 inches, who would ever look there, were emails about a $15,000 deposit on a luxury condo downtown. The closing date, May 16th, the day after she planned to leave. This wasn't just an exit plan. This was a whole new life she'd been building in secret, funded by my inheritance. The rage I felt in that moment was like nothing I've ever experienced. Not hot and explosive, but cold and focused, like liquid nitrogen. I had to go sit in the backyard at 1 a.m. just to breathe without screaming. For the past week, I've been executing the final phases of Operation Phoenix. Set up automatic payments for all my personal expenses through my new bank account. Started redirecting my paychecks to the new account. This takes effect next pay period. Took detailed photos of everything valuable in our house with timestamps. Backed up every shred of evidence to 3 separate places. Started casually mentioning the upcoming poker night to reinforce that I'll be gone May 15th. The hardest part has been acting normal. Eva's been extra affectionate lately, bringing me coffee some mornings, suggesting date nights, even initiating sex more often. If I didn't know better, I'd think she was falling in love with me all over again. But I do know better. This is the behavior of someone trying to avoid suspicion. Classic guilty conscience overcompensation. Or maybe she's just trying to make sure I don't change my poker night plans. Either way, it's too late. Yesterday at 3:19 p.m., the final piece fell into place. My lawyer called to confirm that all the paperwork is ready, evidence documented, Financials protected. New place secured. Eva has no idea that I know everything. No clue that in less than a week, her entire plan is going to implode spectacular. She still brings up little future plans sometimes. A summer trip we'll never take, a restaurant we should try next month, and I just nod and smile. Last night she asked if I was excited about poker night next week. Said she might go see a movie while I'm out. I said something non-committal, while my heart pounded so loud I was sure she could hear it, but she just kissed my cheek and went back to scrolling TikTok, completely oblivious to what's coming. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. This morning I woke up at 4:30 a.m. Couldn't sleep. The weight of what's about to happen kept pressing on my chest until I had to get up. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table in the dark, watching the sunrise through the window. This house we bought together. These cups we picked out at Target. This life we built. All of it built on lies and theft. Eva's still sleeping peacefully upstairs, completely unaware that in exactly 5 days, everything changes. The timer is counting down. The pieces are in position. And when May 15th arrives, I won't be at Gunner's for poker. I'll be right here, waiting for her to realize that I've known everything all along. Final update. It's done. That's the weirdest part to process. After weeks of planning, sleepless nights, and acting like everything was normal while my stomach was in knots, it's finally over. I've been staring at my phone for the past hour watching Eva's desperate texts and calls flood in. The current count is 79 missed calls, 43 text messages, and 17 voicemails. I've listened to exactly none of them. For those just tuning in, my wife Eva has been stealing $500 weekly from my inheritance for 6 years, $156,000 total, planning to leave me on May 15th and calling me a pathetic loser to her divorce lawyer. I've spent the last few weeks gathering evidence and preparing my response. May 15th arrived. D-Day. Operation Phoenix, whatever you want to call it. The morning started bizarrely normal. I woke up at 5:32 a.m. according to my Fitbit. Hadn't really slept much anyway. Eva was still asleep, her face peaceful like she didn't have plans to blow up our entire life later that day. I made coffee, scrolled through the final checklist on my notes app. Final bank transfers. All important docs secured. Lawyer on standby. New place ready, evidence organized. Eva came downstairs around 7:15 a.m., looking surprisingly nervous. Started chattering about random things, the weather, some TikTok she saw, how the garbage disposal was making that weird noise again. Kept asking what time I was heading to Gunner's for poker. I smiled and said probably around 6. At 8:03 a.m., she kissed me goodbye, said she had errands to run, and left in her Hyundai. The second her car pulled away, I checked the tracking app I'd installed on her phone. Not proud of this, but desperate times. She went straight to her hidden condo, probably preparing it for her big move later. This gave me exactly the window I needed. Step 1. Money moves. I'd already transferred most of the inheritance, but there was still about $7,000 in our joint checking that was legitimately mine from my last paycheck. Transferred that to my new account, leaving only Eva's last deposit from her job. Not taking anything that wasn't mine, just making sure she couldn't take anything that wasn't hers. Step 2. I drove to our bank with all my documentation. The manager, this guy named Trevor with a terrible comb-over, looked increasingly uncomfortable as I explained the situation and showed him the evidence. He couldn't do much officially without Eva present, but he did put a note on the account requiring both signatures for any withdrawals over $1,000, just enough to prevent her from draining whatever was left when she realized her plan was falling apart. Step 3. I texted Gunner at 10:17 a.m. It's happening today. You ready? His response. Let's burn it all down, bro. Dramatic? Yes. Satisfying? Also yes. At 11:45 a.m., Eva texted asking if I wanted her to pick up dinner since I'd be home late from poker. The casual audacity of planning my dinner while simultaneously planning to leave me forever was impressive in a sociopathic way. I replied with a thumbs up emoji. I went home and waited. According to the tracking app, Eva was at the mall, probably buying stuff for her new condo. By 3:30 p.m., she was heading home. This was it. The moment everything would change. I sat at our kitchen table with a manila folder containing screenshots of her emails to her lawyer, bank statements showing her $156,000, hidden account, photos of her condo paperwork, screenshots of her texts with Lila about her prison sentence, marriage, divorce papers my lawyer had prepared. The front door opened at 4:03 p.m. Eva walked in carrying Target bags and Starbucks, looking slightly flustered. She froze when she saw me sitting there, clearly not expecting me home. Her first words were, "Why wasn't I at work?" I calmly explained I'd taken the afternoon off to prepare for poker night. She relaxed visibly, putting down her bags, asked if I wanted some of her Starbucks cake pop. I said no thanks, I'd already eaten. Then I asked her very casually how the condo was looking. The change in her face was like watching a system crash in real time. First confusion, then panic, then this weird attempt at recovery where she tried to laugh it off, asking what condo I was talking about. I slid the folder across the table. What followed was the most surreal 37 minutes of my life. Ava went through every stage of crisis management. Denial. What are you talking about? Gaslighting. You're clearly confused about these documents. Minimizing. It was just some money for emergencies. Blame shifting. If you hadn't been so controlling with money. Anger. You went through my private emails? Bargaining. We can work this out. I'll put the money back. Threats. You'll regret this. My lawyer will destroy you. Tears. Complete with mascara trails and hyperventilating. I just sat there, oddly calm, watching the performance. 8 years of marriage dissolving in less than an hour. When she finally ran out of tactics, there was this weird silence where we just stared at each other like strangers. Then I told her everything I knew. The weekly transfers, the secret condo, the pathetic loser comments, her plans for May 15th, her weekend work trips that were actually spent with friends or some dude named Clifford, 6 years of systematic theft and lies, all laid out in chronological order. Her face went through this fascinating transformation, shocked that I knew so much, then this weird smile like she still thought she could salvage something from this train wreck. She started talking about couples therapy, about second chances, about how she'd made a terrible mistake but still loved me. It was like watching someone try to use a CVS receipt as a parachute after jumping from a plane. I slid the divorce papers across the table and stood up. The look on her face when I told her I'd already moved most of my stuff out, priceless. Even better was when I explained that I'd moved the remaining inheritance money to an account she couldn't access. The realization that she'd spent 6 years building a plan that had just collapsed in 20 minutes hit her like a physical blow. She started yelling then about how I couldn't just take our money, about how she'd contributed to our marriage in other ways, about how I'd never make it without her. I picked up my keys and walked toward the door, told her she had until the end of the month to figure out her living situation, but that I wouldn't be staying there anymore. The house was half hers after all. I'm not a monster. As I reached the door, she played her final card, tears and apologies, saying she'd made a terrible mistake, that she'd do anything to fix this. 6 years, $156,000, countless lies. I just shook my head and walked out. By 6:30 p.m., I was at Gunner's place with pizza and beer, giving him the play-by-play. His girlfriend, Amber, kept saying, "Oh my God," between bites of pepperoni. Gunner alternated between calling Ava creative names and asking practical questions about next steps. That's when my phone started blowing up. First text from Eva at 7:14 p.m. "Where are you? We need to talk about this." Second text at 7:16 p.m. "Please come home. I can explain everything." Third text at 7:22 p.m. "You can't just walk away from 8 years." Then the calls started, one after another, after another. I put my phone on silent and turned it face down on Gunner's coffee table. We played actual poker instead of just pretending to, and for the first time in weeks I felt like I could breathe again. Around midnight, I checked my phone. 79 missed calls, 43 text messages, 17 voicemails. I stayed at Gunner's that night, slept on his couch, and woke up to 23 more missed calls. This morning, I went to my new apartment. It's small and the kitchen sink drips, but it's mine. No lies, no theft, no pretending. I picked up breakfast at McDonald's and ate it sitting on my still-boxed mattress while scrolling through Reddit comments from my previous post. Eva's mom called around noon. I actually answered that one. Margaret was confused and upset, saying Eva was absolutely beside herself and not making any sense. I calmly explained what her daughter had done. The long silence on the other end told me everything I needed to know about whether Margaret had been involved. Finally, she just said, "Oh, Derek," and hung up. By 2 p.m., the texts from mutual friends started. Most were confused. Some took Eva's side without hearing mine. A few asked for my version before judging. I sent the same response to everyone. "Ask Ava to show you her secret bank account with $156,000 of my inheritance money." Haven't heard back from those people yet. Funny how that works. It's 7:35 p.m. now. I'm sitting in my new place surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. The emotion hasn't fully hit yet. I'm still operating in this weird, efficient survival mode where practical matters are drowning out the feelings. Eva's latest tactic is having her lawyer send threatening emails about marital assets and financial disclosure. My lawyer says it's just bluster. The documentation I have of her systematic theft is pretty damning. The $156,000 is still in her account. I didn't try to take it back. That would have complicated things legally. But the remaining $487,000 is secure. In the grand scheme of things, I paid $156,000 to discover who she really was. Expensive lesson, but at least I didn't lose everything. Edit 1, 8:17 p.m. Some clarifications based on comments. Yes, I changed all my passwords, including Netflix slash Hulu slash etc. The look on her face when she realized I'd changed the Netflix password was probably worth at least $14.99. No, I didn't hack her accounts. She used the same password for everything. Our anniversary date plus her childhood dog's name. Not exactly Fort Knox. For everyone saying I should have confronted her immediately, that would have given her time to move the money again or create a better cover story. Strategic patience won this battle. Edit to 9:42 p.m. Eva just texted that she's outside my new apartment. No idea how she found this place, not answering the door. This is exactly why I told only 2 people my new address. Update on Edit to 10:13 p.m. She left after 20 minutes of knocking and texting. I ordered a Ring doorbell on Amazon just now. Should be here tomorrow. It's been a month since my world imploded. The divorce is proceeding. Eva eventually moved into her secret condo. The house is on the market. Most of our friends have chosen sides, with the split being about what you'd expect. Last week, I ran into Eva at Target of all places. We stood in the home goods aisle staring at each other like we were from different planets. She looked smaller somehow. After an awkward minute, she just asked if I was doing okay. I said I was fine and asked about her. She said she'd been better. Then we both just walked away. 8 years reduced to an awkward Target encounter. The thing is, I don't feel the burning hatred anymore. Don't get me wrong. I'll never forgive what she did. But the rage has faded into something quieter. Something like relief. Sometimes at night I still wake up reaching for someone who isn't there. Old habits die hard, but then I remember everything. And I'm grateful for the empty space beside me. My grandfather used to say that some lessons cost more than others. This one cost me $156,000 in 8 years. But as I sit here in my own place, answering to no one, planning a future that's entirely mine, I think I got a bargain.